Hey everyone, this is Bullets. I'm just making a video because it's a topic I've actually been interested in and wanted to kind of check around and see if I could find a clear-cut answer or find an example that I really thought was gonna prove this true, that there is some sort of game that you can't actually speedrun. But I just kind of want to look into the topic of speedrunning and the limits of what games you can actually speedrun. And I pulled up a decent few examples. Some of these are a little bit older, but for the most part, I think when people first are thinking of, or at least when I'm first thinking of, something you can or can't speedrun, usually you're looking into something like a game that is not, you can't reach the credits. It's an endless game, but usually with those kinds of games, that there's no credits or there's no ending sequence or stuff like what's it called? Bullet hells or something that you're just trying to get as high a score as possible. The inherent fact that there is a score or there is something that is being calculated, you can still continue to do runs of, okay, so we're gonna run and see who gets the first to 10,000 points. We're gonna see how fast you can get to 10,000 points. For Pet the Pup of the Party, it's an endless game, but we can still do runs to see who gets 10 pups the quickest, like who can pet 10 pups the fastest. So beyond that, so then you can look at games like Rock Band, like Osu, like Guitar Hero, pretty much any rhythm game where you you're on a set timer because the entire game is a series of auto scrollers. And even those cases, really, even though you you might not want to run it, there still is the inherent challenge of you have to still complete all the levels. Like if you're not doing a run at like on easy for Guitar Hero, if you're doing like expert or like full combo where you're trying to not miss any notes, not drop your combo for it at all. When you're doing that, it's really an endurance thing of first having the skill level to be able to complete it and then be able to complete it consistently enough where you can do every single song in a row on that difficulty and complete it. And it also has a little bit of menuing dabbled in. So I don't really consider that too much to be unspeedrunnable. I mean, you physically can. Like, this isn't saying the quality of the run, and people that enjoy doing that enjoy doing that. They're gonna run it anyways, and they would very much not like if I called it invalid speedruns because I wouldn't run it. It's like it's completely valid to run whatever you want, and that's what a lot of these come down to. A lot of these are difficult games to run that I'm seeing. The next thing that really comes up a lot is multiplayer games, um, and a lot of these do have speedrunning categories. You look them up on speedrun.com. I think pretty much almost all the ones that people list usually, like CSGO, the training range, I think people speedrun that. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore on CSGO. League of Legends, people do bot games. You could technically do the same thing with CSGO. People mention Minecraft for some reason as if it's not one of the biggest speedruns right now and doesn't have a very clear end goal. Maybe at the time when this was posted, it was before the Ender Dragon, but like Minecraft is a gigantic speedrun. Like I know it's a sandbox game, but you can speedrun. I've speedrun it. It's very easily speedrunnable. So visual novels is another one that people mentioned. I'm just going down a Reddit thread at this point. Visual novels can be speedrun. It's a lot of mashing and a lot of knowing which. It's kind of the same thing with like point and click games where you have to know where to click, how many times to click, and point and click is a little bit more intense than that, I would say, but people still speedrun visual novels. But I think a lot of it comes down to things people wouldn't want to speedrun, but aren't impossible to speedrun. The only things that I really think are impossible to speedrun, and like as I've been talking about this, I've kind of discovered it a little bit. Um, they're called walking simulators, but it's a bit disparaging to call them that. These games where there's no goal whatsoever. It's an exploration of things. You're like at a set walking speed, and there's not really involvement with it. Even those, some of those, I could see you being able to just to figure out some sort of goal to get somewhere or to do something or cause something to happen. I could see someone doing that, but a game like that, a certain kind of game with that, like depending on how it is, if it's a sort of really abstract walking simulator esque game, and I don't know a better word for that. So apologies about that, but those types of games, those are the only ones that I really think would be really challenging to define a goal for. That's really what you're looking for if you're looking for a game that you can't speedrun. Is there's no definable goal, and inherently with 99% of games, probably more, there is some goal. There's something you're trying to achieve. Whether it's getting as many points as possible, then you can set a point limit on. If you're trying to do anything with it, you're trying to win something, if you're trying to get to the end of something, you can speedrun Fall Guys if you want to. Multiplayer speedruns are a bit chaotic because there's so much randomness involved with them, but they're still speedrunnable even if you're doing the online modes for them. Like if you're not doing like practice range or something like that, if you're doing something where you're actually interacting with other online players. The only games you can't actually speedrun other than that are games that like Maple Story 2 or like the original Club Penguin, banned percent. Like you games that don't exist anymore. You can't play them anymore. You can play the new Club Penguin, whatever it's called. I forget what it's called. But, I mean, you could run that, but like I mean, you can't speedrun that because you literally can't play the game. So for I would say most examples that I was seeing when I was looking through stuff, you really like there's a goal, you know. It is perfectly possible to run a lot of and for games that people think that you can't run, usually it's just a sense of them not wanting to or seeing it as not fun, I guess. So when you're looking at a game and determining if it can be speedrun, most of the time the answer is yes. Just default to the answer being yes. But you have to kind of like detach yourself a little bit from the definition of it being fun, I guess. Like just because it's not fun doesn't make it not a speed run or not. It's not fun to you specifically, but for a lot of the time it's just find a goal. If there you can get to the credits, my goodness, that's usually the best goal. If you can defeat something or go somewhere, interact with something, or do something a certain number of times, if it's an endless game, you know, it's perfectly legitimate to run that. You kind of get a feel for that once you've played enough games and speedrun enough things, like what accounts for like a good goal. But so my answer to the question, I guess, to get back to it is, are there any games you can't actually speedrun? I do not have a specific game that I found that someone pointed to and that I said, yes, this is not speedrunnable. It is impossible. But theoretically, I can imagine a abstract game where the player has very little inputs or the player does not have a clear goal whatsoever and there is nothing for them to achieve because of the creator's vision or something, and the speedrun is not possible for it. But I could not find a game just looking quickly, and I did not have one in mind. I really didn't even consider like really abstract games when I was thinking about this, but like for most examples people give, they're missing the point a little bit about it being about having some sort of goal you can achieve. But sorry that there's not a specific game to say yes you can speedrun this too, but theoretically there could be one. But I think 99.9% of cases there's not. The game is not a something that you can't speedrun, and people will take it as a challenge to speedrun it anyways.